Welcome to Realtors Unfiltered, where we pull back the curtain on the world of real estate. No fluff, no filters, just real stories, real advice, and the realities of buying, selling, and everything in between. This is your host, Inas Latif. Whether you're a client looking for your dream home or an agent seeking inspiration and insight, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Today I have Lucas Perna with me with the Inas Latif sales team. Luke, from sign installer to commercial real estate and creative storytelling. Yeah. What would you say about that?
I don't know. You make it sound like it's been a journey so far, but yeah, you hit it right. We first met, I don't know, it might have been 2019. I was still in school. My brother, Nick, was working with you. And I think you guys are just looking for somebody to help out, do some signs. And so that's what I was doing, school, signs on the side.
So you took it as a side hustle?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably right. And probably did that for at least 2 semesters, maybe a year, before I think realistically considering anything real estate related. I think my focus was school at the time. And you might have approached me looking for my interest level as far as being a realtor or an agent. And I think from there it just kind of transitioned pretty seamlessly. I was familiar with you guys, the people on the team, and it was just about getting your license at that point.
I think I planted the seed at one point or another.
Yeah.
But what I remember is you walked in my office after your graduation and said, if I get my real estate license, would you hire me?
You're probably right. I was probably looking for some openness of what you were looking to add people or not. Sometimes, you're not in a position where you're looking to add people, and other times you are. So I think it was more or less like, oh, what's her openness to it? And maybe then we'll go for it.
Yeah. Would you say that starting side hustle, hanging signs with us is what led you to take the leap into real estate, or was it something else?
Honestly, I don't think it was the sign aspect to it. There was more to my familiarity with the real estate just from growing up. My brother and I and my dad would, go to his investment properties when we were younger and for the weekend or for a Saturday and fix little things. Although I'm not very handy, we would, paint things here and there or fix a window. So just that loose familiarity with the housing or what the potential of real estate was, I think made me more comfortable with pursuing a career in real estate. And
what clicked and said to you, this is it, I'm going all in?
I don't know if there was like a moment where I was like, this is it, if I'm going to be honest. I think it was you're out of school, you're looking for that thing to get your feet wet, and it was the thing closest to me and that I was familiar with and that I felt comfortable pursuing. And then I think the rest took its place. And
you know what I love about that is you didn't get into real estate because of the reason that most people say, well, I love houses. Because real estate is not about houses. Right? It's about people. It's about, to your point, properties, what works, what doesn't, structure, things of that nature. So you were already familiar with all of that when you got into real estate. You had more realistic expectations of what it is.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And quite honestly, I think you played a big role in that leap as well. I think if my experience didn't go well when I was doing the signs and lockboxes, if it was with somebody else, I don't know if I would have pursued that real estate career aspect.
Why did we make it look glamorous?
I don't think it was a glamorous part. Maybe you might say that, but it was more or less just like the service that you and your team provided to people at the time and the professional aspects that you guys approached each situation with appealed to me. and the potential that it could have in my life, and my ability to connect with people, not just in my personal life, but like I think real estate gives you an opportunity to connect with people in your personal life that maybe you wouldn't in other regards. Like not forced, but you have the opportunity sometimes to work with people that are close to you, and maybe you wouldn't have built that relationship with them if it wasn't for that.
Right. Absolutely.
And there's other careers that you can do that with, like finance, or there's many, but I know it's a unique one, I think.
Yeah, it's a relationship business.
Sure.
And it's more intimate than most careers in that type of relationship, because we're talking about people's lives, homes, their personal goals, more than their financial goals and other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've carved out a niche in commercial real estate. What drew you to it, or did it just organically happen?
I don't know if I'd label myself as like the niche in it, but I have done commercial deals in the past, and they present a different opportunity.
Well, you're so modest, because everybody on the team goes back to you for any commercial buyers or sellers. We look at we look up to you as our commercial expert, and you do have that expertise.
To me, it presents a different approach and opportunity to look at what we've been doing on the residential side, and then apply what you know, and then maybe do some things differently. And it's not just about like where you're going to be living, where your family's going to be, where you're going to spend most of your time. It's more the business aspect to it. Does this opportunity make sense for my vision of what my business could be, or not? And kind of looking at it through a different lens, which is a refreshing aspect to what we consistently do on the residential side. Mm-hmm. So it's a good switch up.
It definitely is. So that's what sets commercial clients apart from residential clients.
Yeah.
But with that said, I'm not going to say client, but which type of transaction do you enjoy working with more, residential or commercial?
I don't know if I would want to put myself like in a position where I prefer one or the other, because I do enjoy doing both. I know if you want to be great, you have to be probably focused on one.
Not necessarily.
I don't know. Maybe it's a difficult approach balancing both, because they're very different from each other. So if you're not doing one consistently, you might lack. Or
just do both consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's probably possible, but they're just very different. I'm more familiar with the residential side, done more deals on that side, but I'd love to look and explore more on the commercial side as well.
Mm-hmm. Any advice do you have for agents thinking about jumping into commercial side of things?
I mean, with the knowledge and information I have, my past history about it, I think just approach each situation a little bit differently as far as what you see on the residential side, and talk to somebody who, I don't know, I've only been doing it for however long, but talk to someone who's been doing it for much, much longer than me, and get their perspective on it, and see if that's something that you'd be interested in, how their lifestyle is with work and the commercial side. Because I'm sure they have a lot of things to share as far as what their thoughts are on it.
Well, like everything, there's good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the truth about any career that someone wants to pursue.
Sure.
But on your first commercial deal, since you weren't very, maybe, let's say, familiar with it, how did you prepare yourself to be able to work with that client?
I'm trying to think which one it might have been specifically. I think more or less approaching it as far as what similar buildings have sold for in the past, similar to this one, the condition. And it's quite similar in terms of like what you might approach your residential, but what you're pulling from is going to be a lot different. You're not getting cookie cutter residential houses on the commercial side. They're very unique, I'd say.
Yeah. Would you say it takes more work and more research with commercial properties versus residential?
More work? Maybe upfront in some ways, because you're trying to find very unique properties that are just, they're not like coming out to you when you're doing your search and your comps. They're not coming out to you very clear, like, oh, this is an exact comp that I'm going to use.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Look, I think one of the things that sets you apart from most agents, that you have a creative edge to you. Let's talk about your video skills. Where did that start, and how did it become a signature strength of yours?
I don't know, you put it so, like, interested as far as how I perceive it. I guess I'm just looking at as far as just trying to promote what opportunity we have, or listening to promote myself and listening in the best light. But I feel like a lot of it started, you first do it on your phone and you see what other people are doing, and you might try and put your own spin on it and in a unique way. And, it's maybe not as good as what you hoped it to be, but it is what it is. And then you grow and you progress and find other ways that are interesting, that maybe you want to keep people engaged. And I guess that's the fun part for me. And I'm sure most people that, post stuff on social.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever posted something or created something that you felt it's as good as you wanted it to be?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not, because there's always something that after you put it up, maybe the quality could have been better. Maybe the timing on this or that could have been better. But
so do you seek perfection?
I probably shouldn't, but I, try to, but I know that's not feasible. Mm-hmm. And, if you try and perfect something, your output is going to go down and you're not going to be producing as much. So try to get better at that.
Do you believe there's anything perfect in life?
Anything perfect? Probably no. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's 80% there, you're happy with it and you'll move forward and go ahead with it.
I mean, as much as I want it to be, I know it's going to be a process to not have that feeling about wanting it to be perfect. In the beginning, maybe you do, because you're new to it and you want to show people that, you do good work and that you can highlight yourself and to listen in the right light. Mm-hmm. But as you progress through it, I think you feel like you need to do that less.
Right.
You don't have to worry about it as much.
And how did your audience perceive your videos?
My audience? I don't know if I necessarily have an audience, but
you do.
People that and the friends and family will, see what you've been doing and mention it, and it's a good feeling when they do see it and they say something nice about it. But it's this interesting cycle, because I've heard a lot of people talk about this, but you want to do it again and you want to show them, I can maybe one up what you did before, and keep having that good feeling about it.
Yeah. So although that maybe you don't feel that it's perfect, others are viewing it as, something enjoyable, sure. Good creative content that they enjoyed.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So you just mentioned that you put your own spin on it and make it unique to you. I believe that you have a very unique way of seeing things. And so how do you come up with concepts that stand out?
I feel like usually inspiration will come from seeing somebody do something, maybe not necessarily even affiliated with real estate, just maybe from a movie or from a show or from just a different piece of content. And then that little piece will give you a slight inspiration on how you can apply that to your maybe upcoming listing or someone you've been working with, just in a different way.
Yeah. And that's what I love, is you make it in a different way. You're not copying what other people are doing just to copy it and be the one on the camera doing the same thing other people are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of times I don't even know how to do it. I see it. I'm like, this is very interesting. And I have to kind of backtrack and figure out how to edit it and do the steps to get it, how to make it work. Just little steps in editing that you learn along the way. You go on YouTube, you figure out, how do you do this masking aspect to get your final product.
Yeah. And you might come up with something completely different.
Yeah. Maybe you pivot from there. But learned a lot along the way trying to go on, YouTube to figure out those little things. So
would you say it's a hobby at this point for you, or is it something that you're basically using the skill for your own business type of thing?
Well, I definitely use it for my own business as far as how I sometimes promote myself, and then dabbling with some other things helping people. So
yeah. So it became more of a hobby that you're enjoying.
Yeah. I definitely enjoy it. It's a process. Sometimes you get frustrated doing it because you're like, I honestly don't know how to do this. But you get through it, and there's always a solution to it. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a perfect answer. There's always a solution to everything.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one video or project you're most proud of?
Most proud of?
I have a favorite of yours, but I'll wait till you share yours.
Okay. Well, there's a lot that will maybe be like in a different aspect that I'd be proud of. But in an overall sense, I enjoyed putting together and doing the one where I was doing headstands at different places, because it was a little different from what I had done at the time.
Well, tell the audience what that was about first.
It was just doing headstands at different properties that I had worked on that year. So it's just...
Without anybody knowing, by the way, and you did it yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's, I guess, mostly how I do it. Just get out there, get to it, and then put it together. I don't really usually talk about it until I'm done. But yeah, just doing headstands in front of each property I sold and put it together so it kind of like flashed through pretty quickly as if I'm doing a headstand like in one view.
Yeah.
Hard to explain, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. I always was wondering, what did you do with the properties that closed in the winter when there was like 5 feet of snow on the ground?
That's a great question. I remember it definitely being cold at some points. I don't think I necessarily had
I'm dying right
an
now.
issue over the winter snow time. I might have waited until the weather turned a little bit because it was a year-end thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of got a bunch of them back to back to back when they were in close proximity.
Yeah.
So it might have been like
How did the homeowner feel about somebody doing a headstand, the new homeowner?
Yeah, at the time it was super, to me, awkward, like, because the property closed. So sometimes I was doing it in front of a house that my client wasn't necessarily living.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't really care. I was affiliated with it at some point, and I had the idea. And usually when I have that, I'll just kind of continue and go for it.
Yeah, I can only imagine my reaction if I just closed on a house, moved in, and 2 months later, the agent, whether it's my agent or another agent who was on the other side, is suddenly outside with a camera doing a headstand in front of my property.
Yeah.
Did you run into any issues with that?
No issues. A lot of neighbors, a lot of times looking. And that was a time when I was kind of new to even putting stuff on social. So that has a whole plethora of like challenges of, what are people going to think? This might be a little weird. And now I have people watching me on the side of the street or people driving by. I'm sure people through the window, like, what's this guy doing?
You were determined to get this done.
Yeah. Yeah. When I have my mind set on something like that, I'll follow through and, take it to the end.
Even if it makes you uncomfortable.
Sure.
Yeah. That's how we get to the next step. We got to do the uncomfortable things.
Yeah. Because I had this vision about what it could be and what I might have seen somebody do about something in the past, and then just kind of incorporate it into my own.
Yeah. May I share my favorite video that you did?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's...
I don't know if I know what it is.
Maybe... You don't know. I always talk about it.
What is it?
It's the one where you had sold, I believe, your grandpa's house. And he was living there for a very long time. And you had a photo of him.
They're still alive, by the way. They're still living there.
Oh, he's still living.
Yeah.
So you didn't sell it yet?
No, it was more just about the idea of how this pertains to people and the real life situations that we face.
Yeah. So the video went from a young man throwing a basketball, I believe, to in 1970 something.
Which is when they had bought or built the house. To
this person today, being an older gentleman, catching the ball in front of the home. And it was just so touching to me. And I absolutely loved it. And I also loved that you used your grandpa as your prop in that video.
Yeah, I guess he looks closest to me than most people would.
Yeah, he's super adorable. Yeah. And I love that he was all game to do this video with you.
Yeah, he didn't really give up any, like, you know, what was this for? Just kind of like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. I actually ran into him and I mentioned it to him and it just put a smile on his face. Yeah. He was so proud.
Yeah.
Luke, you're known for bringing a different perspective always, not just with creating videos. What do you think shaped that way of thinking?
I don't know. That's a great question. I feel like I look at it in the sense like maybe I don't want to waste people's time and I want to keep it interesting and my attention span. I'm sure most people's attention spans are short. So putting a unique spin on something to maybe grab them in and keep them listening might be my approach to most things. And sometimes I don't have a lot to say, but if I can make
a man of a few words,
if I can make it unique and, you know, in some ways, then I feel like that's usually my approach.
Mm-hmm. Only if you can make it unique in some ways?
I don't know, but yeah, probably maybe you shouldn't have that approach, but I feel like that's typically what I will go for.
So you only speak when you can make it unique in some ways?
No, I mean, not in that sense, but sometimes I just want to make something interesting for people to remember and to hold on to and make that conversation memorable if I can. So then maybe when they remember me the next time, or that will help them remember me the next time. If that's working with clients or new people that you meet about potentially buying or selling.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I do believe you have your own way of thinking of things in a different perspective than a lot of people, and you're not afraid to share your perspective and allowing people to see things differently.
Yeah, I get myself, I think I get myself in a little bit of trouble sometimes doing that because I'll give a devil's advocate and I won't be agreeing with the status quo in a sense. Maybe just trying to get a different outlook on it because every situation.
So you like a different reaction from people?
No, it's not about a reaction.
To make yourself memorable.
I don't think it's about a reaction. I think it's more about just everything has different point of views. And if you just look at it from one angle, you might see something completely different.
Mm-hmm. So if you ask a question or challenge someone or bring that perspective, it's not because necessarily you believe in it or that's what you think, but it's because you want the conversation to take different directions before it's finalized?
No, I don't know if I have that.
Clarify that for me.
I don't know if I have that initial approach and mindset about going into it, but I just find myself sometimes having a different outlook and it doesn't always go with what maybe people are initially thinking.
Yeah. But I love that about you. I love that you have a different outlook and you're not afraid to share it, even if it doesn't align with the surrounding atmosphere at that time or whoever is surrounding you at that time and their outlook of things.
Sure.
I do believe that people who are willing to share their outlook when it's different, A, they're brave, but B, they bring a lot to the table because they are helping others look at things differently and maybe think about things deeper in a different way. Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it opens up a new, not to repeat it, but brings a new perspective on things and I think keeps it a little fresh.
So give me an example.
An example?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? That's, if I were to handpick something randomly.
Say something that stuck with you and maybe you shared a perspective that the other person took to heart or considered, or the other person fought you about it. Something that maybe stuck with you in those lines.
I don't know. We were just talking about before that I don't have the best memory, but it's hard for me to just pick a random scenario that out of nowhere. It just, I don't know.
It's not random if it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, we're giving the listeners an example right now. In a way.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. maybe directly through this conversation, but
directly through this conversation. I love it. How do you keep the creativity flowing while still growing your business? So you have, you're working with residential clients, you're working with commercial clients. We already know that those are two different things. So you have to spend a lot of time here and a lot of time there. And now you have this beautiful hobby that you're also applying to help your business grow and help your branding and help your homeowners when marketing their listings and so forth. How do you manage it all and keep that creativity even when you're busy with your business?
As far as managing the creative side, I think a lot of it, I have things in the back of my mind or stored away that I know I want to work on, while at the same time focusing on, what at the end of the day really matters is, servicing your clients to the best that you can. So kind of storing things away to the side, working on it over here, and then focusing on, your people and helping them.
Yeah.
And we do it all the time. We time block for certain things. So certain times of the day you're focusing on that creative side. And then, other times of the day that you're allocating to showing people homes or trying to generate some type of lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So time blocking is one of the systems that work for you?
Yeah. I mean, we do it all the time with the team. We make sure we have time blocks set on our calendar. So you're focusing on certain things at certain times of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I mean, people will tell you that early on when you first join. Make sure you set time aside so you have, the most of your day. But I really feel like you don't know the power of that until you struggle through not doing it. You might be in the beginning running around to everything, don't have that structure in your day, just trying to take opportunities as they come.
Mm-hmm.
And someone will tell you in the beginning to time block, but until you struggle and feel the pressure and the weight of that to make that change, then you're motivated to do it.
Exactly. Be proactive and in control of your time versus reactive,
right.
For sure. If you could fast forward 10 years, what does your future self look like?
Yeah, no, that's a lot of time.
Maybe a little older.
Yeah, a little older, both of us.
Yeah.
A little older.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Future self, I think a lot of what my approach has been, and I feel like I've been honest with you about it, is diversifying myself. So I'm not just relying on the real estate aspect, because that comes and goes and it's not necessarily reliable. In 10 years, it will have maybe a better structure as far as the consistency.
Mm-hmm. There's always going to be peaks and valleys in real estate.
That's just the nature of it.
But you're building a real estate portfolio, which helps with supplementing income.
Sure.
When there are valleys. So that's definitely recommended.
Yeah. I think that's something that sometimes people don't think about, is when you first get into it, you're solely relying on the sales that you do. Mm-hmm. And that comes and goes. And, a lot of your friends will be working 9 to 5s and they look at what you do and they're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine doing that. Just relying on that closing. But when you have multiple things going on at the same time, it makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
Not just real estate related, multiple revenue streams in different regards.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Diversity in your income is key to last in this business, and also to, again, work to service, not work because you're desperate for money and have financial burden.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. What legacy do you want to build through your work and your creativity? What legacy are you looking to create or you're working towards?
In terms of work, just growing, having the ability where people know, like, and trust you, and having that reliability on you. It's easy to say that, but it's harder to make that happen. Mm-hmm. When you're consistent, it will come. And then in terms of the creative aspect, I think just looking at new ideas and how you can apply that to real estate and what I'm doing now and keep it fresh. And I don't know. I guess I don't know what the future holds entirely, but yeah.
So do you see yourself doing both, it sounds like? Building a legacy through servicing clients, but then also building maybe more of a legacy and growing your creative side of things?
Yeah, I'd say that'd be nice. Doing both would be fun. I think just doing sales for me is hard to imagine. That's why I feel like I'm drawn to doing the things that we talked about before. Just it keeps it exciting and interesting for me.
Yeah, a better balance.
Sure.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Realtors Unfiltered, where real estate meets reality. If you're ready to buy, sell, or explore joining our team, visit us at inaslatifsalesteam.com. Until next time, keep it real.